Hey guys, it's Nick here with another Nick's Topics topic video. Now, today I've scrammed up a pretty interesting, if not kind of a really what if, like something that could happen, but not like as common as my other ones, most likely. And that what if is, what if Carl joined Negan after he rescued Sadiq? Now, I know what you guys are probably thinking. Carl did appeal to Negan near his death, but do we really think that he could join Negan, or would he want to? Well, I'll explain the scenario which will make that actually possible. So, let's dive in. So, this takes place shortly after Carl rescues Sadiq. Now, to make the whole Carl joins Negan aspect available, for this, let's just say Carl does not get bit by the zombies that attack him and Sadiq. They both manage to kill him without either sustaining any bites. Then, Carl takes Sadiq down to the sewers and leaves him there kind of like the original. But this time, he isn't bit. And he also begins to ponder with himself. Because by this point, he knows that Rick is in no kind of state of mind to offer Negan peace. And he knows that, especially like with Maggie and the rest of the group, none of them are gonna even think about wanting peace this time. So, he decides to take matters into his own hands. Out of options, and completely enraged, by the way, at his father Rick, he goes to the sanctuary to join forces with Negan. And the reason that this would play out so well, in my opinion, is because Carl was rebellious. Even after Lori left, he was rebellious around Carol. He was rebellious around sometimes like Shane and Rick. Sometimes he would always disagree pretty much with anything anyone would say. So he could disagree with Rick's complete and total wanting to kill Negan thing. But this time, he wants to deal with the problem personally by teaming up with Negan and killing his father alongside of Negan. Now, I know that it might not seem like Carl would want to kill his father, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. There's a lot to explore here. Now, Negan really liked Carl. He liked pretty much all kids because he was a gym teacher in the past. And he really took a fonding to Carl, even saying that he was built for the zombie world. So, if he wanted to come and join, Negan would be skeptical at first to see if this was a ploy from Rick. But ultimately, Carl's saying, I came here of my own accord. That would definitely spite Negan to a little bit of bonding between the two. Now, shortly after Carl joins with Negan, we would still have the problem with Simon and his treachery. So, I think they would still have their little duking match thing. And then finally, we have the conflict with Rick and all of the group for the final battle. But this time, Carl is still alive, paired with Negan, unbeknownst to Rick and the group. Yet. Now you might be asking, are the Savior's guns still rigged because Eugene is there? Well, no. Carl would see Eugene's treachery and warn Negan of the rigged guns. So, they would get new bullets with new guns that actually worked. And Carl would kill Eugene, Dwight, and Gabriel. And with the Savior's weapons actually working, Maggie Michonne, Morgan, Aaron, Ezekiel, Daryl, and Rosita would all be killed because they're all the ones that would most likely take revenge on Negan, Carl, and the Saviors if they were left alive. I do think that Carl would want Enid alive because they really liked each other. I don't know how well Enid would go along with the whole killing of everyone thing, but I think Negan would find a way to make it work. Or Carl would persuade her enough that this was for the greater good. Negan and Carl would possibly also want Judith alive because Negan really liked Judith and, it's Carl's little sister. Why wouldn't he want her still alive? Now, I also think Sadiq would still be alive. He would just still be down in the sewer. He was never really found out because of the whole deal with Carl not coming down there being bitten and everything else. Then it would finally be Rick's turn on the table. His son would join with Negan and the Saviors. He was betrayed. Carl would tell him all about how wrong he was wishing for violence and that he brought this on himself. And he himself would land the finishing blow like Grimes, thus ending all of Rick's group that would thoroughly be strong enough to contend with the Saviors. With Carl now part of the Saviors, Negan really takes a fonding to him even more, seeing how loyal he was, even more so savage, killing his own dad after previously stating that he killed Lori. So this would definitely make Negan feel 1,000 more times liking Carl, even taking him as his own son to a degree. So after Rick and all of his group are dead, every one of the communities and the survivors are put under complete order of Negan, turning the places also into satellite outposts. In a way kind of similar to my What If Negan won the war in Season 8 What If, except this time it's Eugene's not there. Now, they would still have to deal with the Alpha and Whisperer threat. Now, with Carl on Negan's side, I definitely think Carl would think of some sharp-witting kind of tool to use against the Whisperers. So I don't think much of a fight for the Whisperers to go against. So, Carl, Negan, and the rest of the Saviors win by default. But, shortly after the Whisperer threat, Carl decides to look back on what he did to Rick, his own father, and then he thinks about Lori, and then Shane, and Daryl, and Maggie, who had nothing left, that he pretty much risked himself going to get her to the hilltop, thinking about everyone that he killed. Eventually, the grief hits him too hard. Everything at once just splats out. He assassinates Negan, feeling utter disappointment in himself and disappointment in Negan for berating him and for making it. Albeit he does this quietly, kind of like the governor. He takes Lucille, and with Enid still around, they go off on their own. Basically, to wander the whole world themselves. Eventually start their own family together. Try and build upon finding a new community. I think that they would possibly find the Reapers, but I don't think that would go down well at all. Either Carl and Enid would kill them, or they would die. Or they would never meet at all. Anything could happen. But, basically, although Enid had to put up a lot, especially with the Saviors, losing everyone she cared about in the communities, she was proud of Carl for standing up and realizing his faults. So, they would be off on their own. leaving the world together, living in the world together. And that's where the story ends, basically. Now, you guys are probably saying to yourselves, what sort of fool are you, Nick, thinking that such a scenario where Carl kills his dad would ever come to pass, or he would join Negan? But it is a good, interesting idea to play upon, and I think I did a pretty good interpretation of this little what if. Plus, like I said, it could have happened, but that doesn't mean that, like, the Carl would have actually, like, gone through with joining Negan and stuff. But yeah, that's where the story ends. I think this one was pretty good, all things considered. What did you guys think? Do you think that this scenario could have played out the way I interpreted it? Leave a comment down below of what your thoughts are. I'd like to hear and see all of them. I'll see you guys tomorrow on my What If Fight channel, link in the description. And I'll be back next week with another topic for this channel. Until then, stay safe, guys.